Over the years, we've seen a vast rise of explicit content, whether that be through social media, music videos, or even through explicit apps such as OnlyFans. We're going to be diving deep into whether it's time we rethink how we view explicit content as a career. Is it really as empowering as it's often portrayed, or are we overlooking the darker, more dangerous side? So stay tuned for this discussion. So firstly, what is explicit content? So for the context, gosh, why was that hard to say? For the context for today's video, explicit content refers to something that, when clearly shown without censoring, would be considered inappropriate for some viewers or listeners. But today, for this kind of video, I'm talking about showcasing your body. Why did I do this? I'm talking about that and nudity. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. I don't know. But the first industry that I want to talk about is, I can't say it for the sake of Instagram. I want to talk about the corn industry, but I know you're smart. I know you know what I'm talking about. So, corn. I really want to try and make the video as balanced as it can be. So I firstly want to talk about why lots of people think that the sex industry and the corn industry can be empowering and how it's fine and can be a safe industry to work in. When you think of explicit videos that the corn industry has produced, if you want to keep it all the way real, explicit behavior has usually been favored for men over women. What I mean by that is, from what I've heard, lots of videos have been favored for promoting pleasure for men in comparison to promoting pleasure for men and women. I remember speaking to one of my good friends about this, and she was telling me that she doesn't actually enjoy watching explicit content from it, you know, those explicit sites, because they don't focus on female pleasure. It's just mainly just pam 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 that I've heard of. Pound town videos, and it's like that's not really what she wants to get off to. We can have a mature conversation about this. That's fine. It's fine. Family, please just look the other way. I know you guys have found my channel. We don't need to talk about this, okay? And behold, there's been a massive resolution to this problem since like 2019, 2018, 2020 especially. There's been like a huge push of OnlyFans. And I think one thing that's really been praised about OnlyFans is that it really promotes safe sex. I.e., what I mean by that is, with like the corn industry, if you want to become a explicit worker, you have to do contracts, you have to sign deals, maybe you do scenes that you're not fully comfortable with. We're going to talk more about that later in this video. Whereas with OnlyFans, it's like, you can create a video from like the comfort of your home. I can start OnlyFans. You, if you're over the age of 18, you can start OnlyFans from the comfort of your room. And I feel like the best thing about OnlyFans, that if you want to keep it all the way real, in like the corn industry, the people who get worse in comparison to men and women is women always. And with like OnlyFans, obviously there's that element of comfortability that you're recording at home, but you get to control whatever sexual narrative you want to put out to the world. And in this world, there have been so many spokespeople, so many women have spoken out about like female autonomy, female sexual autonomy, and just overall like female empowerment. And I feel like that's something that you've heard, even female sexual empowerment. And I think that's a very important conversation to have. And even especially you've heard it so much in music, lots of female rappers have spoken about that. Another reason why lots of people might say getting into the explicit industry is empowering is that it's an avenue for you to get a good bag opportunity. If you want some further proof, a content creator on OnlyFans by the name of Sophie Rain last year made a huge net worth of 43 million smackaroon dollars. Speaking to the Mail online, Sophie explained that she's investing the money and hoping to make at least another 43 million in her second official year on the platform. 43 million dollars, it's America. How nuts is that? And honestly, she's not the only content creator who's been able to make a huge flipping bag from this OnlyFans thing. Lots of, hey, when you actually, I'm gonna put like the top earners on the screen. When you actually think about it, you see these numbers, you see these figures, and it's like, why am I working? Why am I actually working when I could just be on OnlyFans right now, showing you guys my feet, my chest hair, my hands? You know, some people are into some people are into that, and it's like, why am I actually working when I could just, you know, I was listening to See China the other day. I was listening to Peggy, and I re-listened to Last Laugh, and there was one line that really stuck with me in Last Laugh, which is, I'm taking advantage of men because these dumb little niggas ain't got composure. And I actually think that's a really smart line, and it's very relevant in our discussion right now. When we talk about these discussions about this generation being too explicit, or when we talk about OnlyFans, we mainly only drag women. even though there are male creators on the platform, we only drag women. And for me as a man with a platform now on YouTube, this is not a video and this is not a channel where we just drag women. I'm not one of those creators. I'm not one of those podcast people. Never have, never will be. Amen to that. But I think that what she said there was a really smart, a very smart lyric, because OnlyFans and this explicit industry wouldn't exist if it wasn't for men, quite literally. Okay, to give some context, if you guys have watched Euphoria, then you remember a character by the name of Kat. And I remember this because this scene really did scar me. Well, that show did scar me with lots of different things, but anyways, I digress. I remember at one point she became like an explicit creator, and she used to pay, no, guys used to pay her for like a half an hour Zoom chat, and in the Zoom chat, they would pay to get degraded on. You know, like they'll act like, I'm not gonna put up on the screen. I'm not.
I mean, I'm serious. I got some extreme kinks.
Okay.
But
and that can translate into real life right now. Lots of people pay online or in real life for women to shout at them, step on them, you know, and so much more. I'm just holding my tongue. I'm holding my tongue, and so much more. So it's kind of like, you know what, get that bag. You know, that's what some people think. And I think like a harmful like stereotype is that every person, every creator who does like explicit content is equally like a dumb or stupid person. Some people make mistakes. Some people have been forced or coerced to get into this industry. Some people just generally are doing it because they've got like medical bills, they've got families to, you know, they have to cater for, so it's maybe an easy cop-out industry. But we're going to talk a bit more about that. We're going to get into the next part of this video, how the OnlyFans and explicit content can be seen as exploitative. My last point can literally testify to the fact that OnlyFans and like the explicit industry can also be seen really, truly as exploitative. The fact that not everyone who is on that app actually wants to be on that app. What I mean by that is like there could be like a really talented musician on that platform who maybe they had like a really great music run in like 2015, and then maybe now their music is not selling how it used to be. They've got a livelihood, they've got family, they've got kids, they've got maybe like a famous stature, but no one's checking in for what they have to offer. So it's like, let me just take some pictures of my body, and that could just be seen as like exploitative, because like you're not even checking in for my work, but you're just, oh, let me just, sorry, I'm just being a bit, oh, let me just tighten, so in that sense, it's like, okay, you guys don't even check in for like my work or like my music, you don't check in for what I have to offer, but you want to see me jumping around with my dick swinging in the air and stuff like that. Another very interesting point, you see this Sophie Rain, who's made basically $43 million in 1 year. Yeah, that's not going to reflect you and I. Okay, here's the thing about OnlyFans. It is so saturated. How I said that, the way I said that, like, you know, I can make an OnlyFans, you can make an OnlyFans if you're over the age of 18. That doesn't guarantee that it's success. Because even though it might sound, it can really sound tempting, like, oh, let me just like play with my feet. People do that. Let me just play with my feet on OnlyFans, I can make a quick buck. How many people are doing that exact same thing? What makes your feet stand out to this 10 billion people who are on that platform right now? Exaggerated number. And obviously, like, what I do on YouTube is very different, but very similar to OnlyFans in the sense that I'm not naked, as you can see. But when I tell you this, content creation burnout is very, very real. Sometimes I just can't be bothered to get on camera and talk. But then once I get into the flow of things, I'm okay. But I couldn't imagine going on camera personally and showcasing and revealing myself in such a vulnerable sense. Like, that's for me and minds. There is no minds, but that's just for me to see. I don't want you guys seeing all that, you know. And the reason why I said that is, like, let's say you are a successful explicit entertainer. If you go out in public, lots of people, when they see you, they it's like, I feel like I can't remember who it was. No, it was Ruby Ross. I think there was a video where like one of her top earners met her in real life. Ruby Ross, if you didn't know, she does OnlyFans as well. And she like met one of her top earners at like the airport or something like that. And for me, it's like, even if that person was like very respectful, it's like, wow, like you've really paid, like, not in a degrading way to that person, but it's like, wow, you've paid to see me like naked. Like, you know what I look like underneath all of this. And it's just kind of like, for so many of these like content creators, like these explicit content creators, like they know people are paying to see them naked. And it's like, even though of course they're showcasing themselves to the world, it must be so exhausting in public or in real life, getting so many sexual comments or like really, yeah, have to deal with like harassment and abuse, because at the end of the day, even though they are showcasing themselves to the world, they don't deserve to be harassed on the streets, in my opinion. No, an opinion, period, law. They don't deserve that. Okay, maybe in like another world, let's say that you and I, or not you and I, but if you and I separately started an OnlyFans, let's say it did blow off and go really, really well. Even though you, maybe at one point you might just be like, you know what, I really don't want to do OnlyFans anymore, I'm going to delete my account. Just because you delete your account or you delete your videos doesn't mean that you can't erase that image or that video of yourself that's maybe gone viral online. And I think one of like the saddest examples of that is Mia Khalifa. Like, she's someone who I genuinely feel really, really bad for. And I feel like even if you've never seen any of her explicit videos, you just instantly know her name. And I feel like something that she's spoken about in interviews, because I've watched so many of her interviews, is that she's trying so hard to remove, it's literally so, I don't want to say that it's like impossible, but it basically is, to remove that idea from her mind that she is an explicit worker, because she hasn't got into, I think she said that she hasn't gone back to the corn industry in dang near like nearly more than 10 years, but people still remember her from a video that she made when she was 21 years old. And now she is, I do not know how old she is, I'm going to put it here. So I've just searched now, Mia Khalifa is 31 years old. And like, can you imagine like if you were 31 and like a video, and 1 or 2 explicit videos that you made when you were 21 has now stayed with you for 10 plus years and will always like haunt or like linger at like the back of everyone's like minds. That's really not a nice thing to have to deal with. And I'm so glad that, I say glad loosely, but I'm proud that she's been able to use her platform to actually speak about like the dangers and the severity of the corn industry.
I think it kicks in mostly when I go out in public, because the stares I get, I feel like people can see through my clothes, and it brings me deep shame. It makes me feel like I lost all right to my privacy, which I did, because I'm one Google search away.
Yeah.
This will make sense with what I'm about to say. In like the music industry, in like 2010, it was like, these were like pop stars, pop images, full packages. These were people who were like, if you want to talk about like, you know, like the Katy Perry's, the Rihanna's, Beyonce's, Gaga's, Justin Bieber's, yada yada yada. It was like, they were like huge, big pop stars who like, if they took a break for like 2 years, you'd still listen to their music. They would still be able to sell, tour and chart, etc, etc. But nowadays, in the world that we live in right now, it's like very quick. It's like, okay, we love you for the summer. We love you for, maybe you gave us one little banger, 45 on the Billboard Hot 100, never gonna see you again. And it's like, there's always so many quick musicians. And that can really be like the same for content creation as like a YouTube sense, the like TV industry, and also in the explicit content industry. Someone who's really fallen victim to that is Ice Spice. I remember when Ice Spice came into the scene, lots of people were very interested in her music, but if you want to keep all the way real, one of the biggest like pioneers for her brand was herself, her body and her image. And it's also, she's not in like an abashy way or to make fun of her, but she has lost weight since her debut. She doesn't really showcase her assets as she used to before. And now lots of people have seen on Twitter, people like, the ice has melted. Like, the sex appeal has gone for so many people, and so has the career. And like, the dangerous thing about like the explicit industry is like, your wealth is tied to how good you actually look. So it's like, what, let's say one day you're feeling really like yourself, you're feeling really sexy, and you like post all of these videos and lots of money comes in, and then life happens, you lose weight, you gain weight, you feel a bit depressed, and then from then like the money will actually go. It's like, when you do this explicit industry, you always have to look presentable, you always have to look good. Oh, maybe you want to maintain with like the times, maybe I need to get a BBL, maybe I need to do this, I need to edit this, I need to Photoshop this. And that can really F with your minds. Another reason why like this industry is very exploitative is like, once you get in it, it's very hard to get out of it. What I mean by that is like, do you guys remember Dean, what's his name again? Sorry, I've got my notes, what's his name? Dean Beeson, I think, Dean Beeson from Wizards of Waverly Place. He played Zeke. Well, he is now an OnlyFans creator. And now Disney have rebooted Wizards of Waverly Place for a new generation. And now because of like the explicit work that he does and with like the laws that Disney have, how it's obviously catered for a kid audience, even though he himself is not going to be talking about his OnlyFans career on like Wizards of Waverly Place to reboot, it's that name alone, like his name alone. If kids search him up and they see, oh, right.
I waited like 13 years just waiting around. Now, okay, here we go. Let's fire it up. As soon as Dan becomes a star, let's reboot Wizards again. You guys suck. I'm just kidding.
And like this is something that even like Mia Khalifa has spoken about. Like even though she's got explicit videos from like 10 years ago, let's say maybe she's gone back to school, she's gone like a resume and now she wants to apply for like, I don't even know, like a global office job or something, they might just primarily just say no because of her track record, because of her history. Maybe now she looks bad for their brand. And it's like, that's very, very sad and unfortunate reality for lots of people who are trying to break out from that explicit content creation mode. And my final point for this section, your friends and family, dearie me. If I was to do, I can't lie, hand on heart, I don't think, where's my heart? Here. I don't think I'll do, no, I'm not going to do it on the OnlyFans. But if I was, you know, bouncing around on on OnlyFans and my family saw that, I don't think I'd speak to anyone. I think I'd have to, you know, move halfway across the world and block everyone. You know, I couldn't live with myself. I couldn't. It's just like, imagine like just rocking up to like the family reunion and say, hey, that's the one that, you know, beats off on camera. But anyways, I digress. But now I really want to coin this discussion a bit more central to the times that we're living in today. I feel like something that we often hear lots of the times is that like this generation has become overtly sexual and overtly too explicit. And I really was thinking about this for a period of time. I was like, I've got mixed opinions. On some hands, I'm like, yes, because it's like we give lots of explicit content like a huge wide platform. But then on the other side, it's like, wait a second, people have been freaky. I really want to talk about how like over the years the change in attitude to explicitness and like sexual liberation has really changed and evolved over times. And I really just want to firstly talk from the 1980s for now. I had a very interesting conversation about this time period from my mum, because obviously your boy was not there, but something that was very prevalent, and history may never forget this, how bad the HIV/AIDS crisis actually was. And I think something that's generally so imperative, like during that time period, lots of people were actually talking about sex. Lots of people actually like that taboo nature was kind of going away. From what I've heard from my research, if you were there firsthand, please let me know in the comment sections down below where people were actually talking about it. But lots of people were talking about how to actually have safe sex and how to actually do things appropriately and respectfully and, you know, clean. But also it was a time period where lots of people had forced conversations with their partners about how many people they've been sexually explicit with, genders, so forth and so forth. And I feel like because of these discussions in like the 90s/early 2000s, like sexual liberated movements, women's liberated movements, same-sex marriages, like discussions, because of that time period, it forced lots of these conversations to take place. And like there's so many like sexually like liberated like icons, like music videos, shoots, TV shows, and so much more from like the 80s, like 90s, 2000s era, even like in the 70s as well. But in comparison to then and in comparison to now, I feel like the backlash was much more heavy then in comparison to how it is now. And I think a massive reason as to why that is the case is because obviously the way that we distribute and we see media has really changed and evolved in such like in 30 years, which is generally not a long time. It's really changed so much. I think one of like the biggest differences from like before to now is that digital footprint is so much easier to find people's digital footprint. What I mean by that is like nowadays we can find like someone's resurfaced tweet from like 2009. We can find like an old video from them from like 2010. You know, it's very easy. Well, it's easier to have access to people. But I think in comparison to prior is that if he did dirty things, you can kind of keep it, sweep under the rug. And I feel like nowadays, like as a generation, like we're so open about so many things. Like if you go on TikTok, people are very open, talk about explicit things, talking about like story time, get ready with me for the appointment, story time, talk about me, you know, how I do this, how I do this, how I do that. We're very sexually liberated and very open for discussion. I think one thing why lots of people think that this generation is too sexual is because we actually talk about so many things. Maybe we could talk a bit too explicitly about things, but we talk about literally explicitly everything in comparison to prior. And I feel like prior, explicitness was very taboo. It was very like, if you do this, then you'll go to hell kind of thing. But I feel like lots of people, that attitude has really changed so much over the times. And I think one thing that's like something to ponder about is that even though we speak, like nowadays in our generation, we speak about like so many like explicitly liberated things, that doesn't mean it wasn't happening prior. People in the 30s was fucking, people in the 40s was fucking, people in the 50s was fucking different multiple partners. You know, lots of people, it's like they've got kids everywhere. Cheating, baby mama culture, all of that kind of stuff, like that's nothing new. It's just, it was all just kind of like a hidden secret. Nowadays, we kind of make music about these kinds of things. Like, I'm pretty sure people are still cheating on like their partner. I'm pretty sure people are still having kids outside of marriage. I'm pretty sure horrible things are still going on at home. I'm pretty sure, you know, husbands were married but had husbands, and wives had wives. It's like, but I'm pretty sure people just did things sneakily. But if you were there during that time, I'd love to hear like a comment section from you. I think one of like the biggest reasons why lots of people say that this generation is too explicit as well is that lots of times we generally do have to show, well, not me, but lots of people generally do have to showcase themselves in order to get clicks. I feel like with so many maybe like musicians, it's like, okay, like the music is great, but maybe for like your next music video, it's like we want you to show more skin. And it's like, even if some people, maybe they want to do that, but some people may be forced and coerced to doing that. And I don't like that, I don't support that. And as well, these things, so many, I think because of the accessibility for explicit content, is that so many kids are accessible to that. And I think that's really, it's not a nice thought at all. And I feel like we've seen the generational impact, and we're seeing the generational impact of being overtly explicit with these like smash the balloons, these pop the balloons. I think it's becoming too much, and I don't like that kids are involved in this kind of stuff. But yeah, that is that for today's video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I hope you guys found it insightful. I rambled for a big period of time, but you know, that's what I do around here. I yap. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Happy New Year's to you guys, because this is my first deep dive that I'm posting in 2025, and I can't wait to do many more. So yeah, God bless you. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Socials in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.